Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. It's time, once again, for those egocentric attention holders, Harry and Meghan. Prince Harry's book Spare, with its various unsubstantiated claims and accusations, isn't the only royal book to hit bookshelves in recent weeks. Another new book entitled Courtiers, Intrigue, Ambition, and the Power Players Behind the House of Windsor was released 2 weeks later. Written by the royal correspondent for the British newspaper The Times, Valentine Low, he was the reporter who first broke the story about palace aides alleging that they had been bullied by the Duchess of Sussex before the couple made their royal exit on March 1st, 2020. And that bombshell article was published days before the couple's interview with Oprah Winfrey was televised on March 7th, 2021. Buckingham Palace chose to keep the findings of their investigation into allegations of bullying against Meghan Markle private, and one author is not surprised. In June of last year, palace officials told reporters that the details of their independent review were not being released to protect the confidentiality of those who took part. Current and former palace staff were invited to speak about their experiences working for the Duchess of Sussex after claims surfaced in 2021 about her bullying several staff members. Valentine Low explained, "In terms of why the decision was taken, my sources felt that it has been swept under the carpet because Buckingham Palace did not want to pick another fight with the Sussexes. They knew that if they released the report, I think it would have at least garnered some criticism. I don't know what conclusions the report filed, but I bet there was some notion there that Meghan had not treated staff very well. And they thought if they put that out there, the Sussexes would be furious and would come back with something. So they'd rather take a bit of criticism from the media for not being very open with us than have yet another fight with Harry and Meghan." And sadly, that makes sense. Valentine Low's new book explores how trusted advisors to the British royal family played a crucial role in the monarchy's survival over the years. It features interviews with insiders who shared their experiences working behind palace doors. While it gives insight into several royals, it is the book's chapters on the Sussexes that have garnered the most headlines. Naturally, neither the Sussexes nor Buckingham Palace responded to requests for comment about the new book. But when Lowe had released the bombshell report about Meghan allegedly bullying palace staff in March 2021, Markle's team had strongly refuted the claims. At that time, a spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said in a statement that the Duchess is saddened by this latest attack on her character, particularly as someone who has been the target of bullying herself and is deeply committed to supporting those who have experienced pain and trauma. The spokesperson for the Sussexes at the time also told The Times, "Let's just call this what it is, a calculated smear campaign based on misleading and harmful misinformation. We are disappointed to see the defamatory portrayal of the Duchess of Sussex given credibility by the media outlet. It's no coincidence that distorted several-year-old accusations aimed at undermining the Duchess are being briefed to the British media shortly before she and the Duke are due to speak openly and honestly about their experiences of recent years." Now, what I personally find interesting here is how this connects directly to something that Harry wrote in his book Spare, which I had talked about in my video entitled Meghan Markle Attempting to Distance Herself Amidst Fallout Over Harry's Book that I released a few days ago. In that video, I said, Harry made a number of damning allegations in his book, claiming that there's a toxic relationship between the monarchy and the press that includes members of the royal family allegedly leaking unflattering information about other members in exchange for positive coverage for themselves. Harry specifically singled out his stepmother Camilla, the Queen Consort, claiming that she had done this. Hence, I wouldn't be surprised if Harry blames Camilla for the accusations that Meghan was bullying palace staff before they exited the royal family in 2020. According to Low's book, one source alleged that working with the Sussexes was like working for a couple of teenagers. Low claimed that's what they were like. They were kind of stubborn. They were difficult. They were uncontrollable and incredibly willful. You look at all the things that Meghan and Harry did, for instance, private jets. There was a time during the summer of 2019 when they took several jets in a short space of time. And this was despite all the advice they were given. You know, don't do that because you've been lecturing the world about saving the environment, and then you're on a private jet, which was so bad in terms of carbon emissions. But they wouldn't listen to reason. And of course, when the media found out about it, Harry got severely criticized, but they were just difficult to deal with. Another former palace insider said they felt Markle thought she was going to be the Beyoncé of the UK after marrying Harry. I think they felt she wanted the stardom. She wanted the adulation, said Lowe. He alleged that she was less interested in cutting ribbons, opening hospitals, and doing all the frankly boring things that members of the royal family often have to do. But she liked the stardom, he claimed. She liked the attention. Several members of staff alleged that during the couple's 2018 tour of the South Pacific, they heard Markle say on at least one occasion, "I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this." Talk about entitlement. Lowe wrote, although she enjoyed the attention, Meghan failed to understand the point of all those walkabouts, shaking hands with countless strangers. One source alleged Markle made a crushing comment to a palace aide who was involved with the royal wedding. The book claimed Markle spoke particularly harshly at a meeting to a young female member of the team in front of her colleagues. After Meghan had pulled to shreds a plan she had drawn up, the woman told Meghan how hard it would be to implement a new one, the book claimed. Don't worry, Meghan told her. If there was literally anyone else I could ask to do this, I would be asking them instead of you. That says a lot about Meghan, doesn't it? One staffer alleged there were constant calls and emails from the Duchess, leaving them exasperated. You could not physically escape them, a staffer was quoted as saying. There were no lines or boundaries. It was last thing at night, first thing in the morning. The book alleged that relations between the couple and some of their senior staff became so fractious that Miguel Head, Prince William's private secretary, had to step in to help keep the peace. Some of them left, went on to go and get new jobs because they couldn't take it anymore, Lowe claimed. And can you blame any of them for leaving? No. If you listen to the testimony of some of these people, when they were anticipating getting a bit of a roasting from Meghan, they talked about, I'm shaking, I'm terrified, I can't stop shaking. That's how bad things were. And people talked about members of the staff being completely broken by that. Lowe also claimed that some former staff still had difficulty discussing their experiences. Some would even refer to themselves as members of the Sussex Survivors Club. Now, doesn't that paint a pretty picture of life with the Sussexes? I don't think so. Lowe explained, they're separate households, so in some ways, there's no real strong center of power. The center of power is Buckingham Palace, obviously, but they don't have complete control over the other households. The other households run things how they want to run things. To an extent, they're answerable to Buckingham Palace, but also not very much. They're answerable to the person they work for. There's a certain amount of independence there. That kind of independence leads to a slight lack of control. I think that was one of the problems. And even when they're getting along quite well, there's always an element of friction and mistrust between the households. That never completely goes away, he continued. Sometimes it could be quite good, but I also think there was a poor relationship there. And I think that played a role in the offices not getting involved early enough, not taking control of the situation. How much could they have done? I don't know. But at the very least, they could have ensured that if Harry and Meghan are going to leave the royal family, at least it could be managed in a civilized way. The problem was it all got so advanced by the time they finally did. But it was too late, and it was just incredibly acrimonious. When Harry and Meghan make their various accusations towards members of the royal family or how they were treated by palace staff prior to them exiting the royal family in 2020, it's best to take anything that they say with a grain of salt. While the same should be said here with regards to the various anonymous comments made by palace staffers released in Valentine Lowe's new book, something to bear in mind is the clear distinction in intent between what Harry and Meghan are doing versus what the anonymous staffers are saying. Harry and Meghan are trying to capitalize on their alleged negative experiences, but the anonymous staffers who talked with Valentine Low aren't gaining anything by sharing their perspectives. Further, given that there is a common theme within each of the staffers' comments in terms of how Meghan in particular was allegedly behaving behind the scenes, the staffers' comments, in my own opinion, might have a higher degree of credibility than what Harry and Meghan have been saying themselves. Of course, that's a personal choice that anyone who listens to what these two very different sides are saying needs to make for themselves. Ultimately, there are always two sides to every argument. But since the palace is not inclined to talk about what goes on privately behind closed doors, even an inkling of what may have occurred provides a more balanced perspective, which is clearly something that neither Harry nor Meghan themselves are ever going to provide of their own accord. If there is, for example, any truth to Harry's claims that William at some point yelled at him and pushed him down onto the floor, then we can assume there were clearly things that Harry and/or Meghan had done that had angered William to that extent. Harry and Meghan always portray themselves as being the victims, which implies they had never done anything wrong. I don't believe that, and I highly doubt that most people believe that either. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.